Hello! So today I'm going to be reviewing Maggie O'Farrell's The Marriage Portrait. Now this is going to blow your minds, but I haven't read Hamnet. I know! Everyone and their nan has read Hamnet. I mean, I've got it. I've had it on my shelf for ages. But there's just something about it that hasn't really spoken to me. I've seen it on the shelf, but it hasn't been crying out for me to pick it up. And in all honesty, it's probably because I have heard so much about Hamnet that I feel like I've already read it. So this book is my first step into the world of Maggie O'Farrell's writing. This is also the first book from the Women's Prize for Fiction shortlist that I've read. Like Hamnet, this is also a work of historical fiction. Taking a historical character from history, somewhat lost or forgotten about, and building a fictional story around them. This concept really reminds me of Tim Crouch's monologues, in which he takes one of the side characters from a Shakespearean play and builds a whole 90-minute monologue around them, their experiences, based on the limited information that we are given in those plays. If you've never seen any of Tim Crouch's work, you simply must. He is just next level good. Inspired by Robert Browning's poem My Last Duchess, and taking place in 16th century Italy, The Marriage Portrait follows a character called Lucrezia who is forced into marriage. After just 1 year of marriage to the cruel yet handsome Alfonso, Duke of Ferrara, Lucrezia dies at just the age of 16 years old. With mysteries surrounding the death of Lucrezia, this novel explores the what-ifs of that story. The story jumps between two timelines. We have 12-year-old Lucrezia in her family home, her relationship with her siblings, her parents, and the build-up to her arranged marriage. And the other section jumps to when Lucrezia is living with Alfonso. She is 16 years old, and she has a feeling, she is fearing that she may be murdered. And that's it. That's the story, that's the premise, that is this book. We do have some side characters, all who appear to have ulterior motives / they're out for themselves. And aside from Lucrezia's maid and her nurse from her family home, the world around Lucrezia is a cruel one, obsessed with traditions, manners, and advancement. So, what did I like and what didn't I like? I'm going to start with what I liked because it's going to be very, very short because I was utterly bored by this book. The prose and pacing is excellent. Maggie O'Farrell is a fantastic writer, and that is absolutely undisputed. The writing in this book is brilliant. It just flows beautifully, and O'Farrell does an excellent job of bringing this world to life. Her writing style is the only thing that kept me reading. But yeah, that is the only thing that I liked about this book. What didn't I like? Right, here we go. And this is the crucial one, really. I was just so bored by this book. I found it all really, really bland. Not even the next level writing skills of O'Farrell was able to bring this bland story to life or make it engaging for me in any way. It's just so small in scope. And of course it is, because we are only getting Lucrezia's perspective, and she is only 12 or 16 years old, so her viewpoint for the world is limited. I feel like O'Farrell was trying to create this claustrophobic atmosphere with her POV, but what we get is something that just ends up feeling very limited, lacking a depth that this story so desperately needed. I wanted to connect to the plots and the scheming that was happening and taking place around Lucrezia, and then jump back to her and see how that all plays out from her 16-year-old perspective, balancing her views against what's happening around her. But following her POV just left me wanting for something so much richer, something more to bring everything else to life. Also, aside from Lucrezia, all the other characters felt very flat. And again, of course they're going to, because we're only getting Lucrezia's point of view. So those characters are limited to what Lucrezia can understand and make of the world around her. Props to O'Farrell for committing to this point of view. She stays to it and does the best that she can, and I truly mean that, the absolute best that she can with what she's kind of working with. But to me, that didn't lead to an interesting story. And my final dislike is the structure. I just didn't understand the reasoning behind it. The dates between the two different sections are so close. We've got 12-year-old Lucrezia and 16-year-old Lucrezia that we could have ended up just following her journey in a linear fashion and nothing would have been lost. I mean, for some people, maybe those latter sections, that foreboding that Lucrezia has about her being murdered, may have helped to build up some tension. But to me, I think that tension would have still kept building if we had just gone in a linear way. But yeah, as the time frame is so short between them, there isn't really enough meat in between that gap for much to develop. It just felt like this story did not need that particular storytelling device. I am very surprised this made the shortlist. For the writing alone, I can see why this was on the long list. But this just seems very, very safe for a shortlist pick. I can't imagine, I haven't read, this is the first book I've read, I didn't read any of the long list. I can't imagine there being books. I don't get it. There must have been more exciting things than this that haven't made it onto the shortlist. I'm a bit jaw-dropped. I don't understand what people are seeing in this for it to warrant being on a shortlist. It's just so safe and bland, and all it's got going on is incredible writing, but that's not enough. But please don't see this review as me besmirching Maggie O'Farrell. I'm not. From reading this alone, I know without a doubt she is an incredible writer. It's just the story, people. It's just the story. It didn't have enough going on. It was Welcome to Blandtown. Beige. I'm going to give this book 2 stars out of 5. I'm going to forget it very, very quickly. Side note, I am not a professional critic. I am just some random guy with a camera talking about his thoughts on books. And I have recently read The Whale, which was my favourite book of this year and possibly the past 5 years. Who knows? I absolutely love it. And I am reading this book directly after reading one of my favourite books. And unlike a professional critic who can probably detach themselves from the previous work they've read and focus professionally on a piece of work, I am just a regular guy. So I don't think I have the ability to separate my own self and what's happening and the journey I'm on from what I'm reading. So I do feel like reading this directly after The Whale did not do this book any favours. I went from something that I absolutely loved, it was fantastic, incredible, I just adored it, and then went into something that in comparison was utterly terrible. I tried my hardest to be as objective, I suppose, as possible, but all I could come out with in the end was the fact that the writing was spectacular, which it was. But yeah, I hope I'm not alone on this one. I really do. 2 stars out of 5. Gonna forget it pretty quickly. But have you read this book? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Am I alone? I feel like I haven't seen too many people. I don't know. I've seen people sort of hold the book up and talk about it a bit and go, yay, but I haven't seen too many reviewers do a proper deep dive review on this. So I'll have to probably do a little bit of further Googling, but yeah, I don't know. Didn't like it, everybody. Did not like it. A poor start to my journey through the Women's Prize for Fiction shortlist. However, the next book I've got coming up is Demon Copperhead, which I have heard very good things about. I think there's only one reviewer out there who I've seen who didn't like it. Everyone else seems to love it, so I'm excited for that one. That will be the next book from the shortlist I'm going to read, but I will have other books that I'm reviewing before I get round to that. Thanks very much for watching. As always, I hope you are well, and I'll see you all on the next one. Bye.